Hello, I'm your host Griffin D, and today we're gonna be reading 5 crazy TIFU stories. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. Today I fricked up by scatmaning a girl I was dating. So quite recently I've been listening to the song Scatman, which for the uninitiated is a dope song of a dude scatting which kinda goes like scat da bidli bidli jidli bidli bidli, and then he says I'm the scatman. So I couldn't get this song out of my head for the past couple days and I was always queuing it up on Spotify. Long story short, a girl I've been dating came over last night and my brain didn't override my stupidity when I decided to add Scatman to my sexy time playlist. When she came over it was pretty much prepare for battle stations from the first minute. So I put the sexy time playlist on shuffle. It started off well with some song from the Mezzanine album, and then one I can't remember and then a jazzy one. By this point I was just beginning to go down on her. This is where I fricked up. The Scatman song came up next after the relaxing jazz and it was so freaking jarring. I guess a normal person would have stopped and skipped the song. I really regret not doing that now. Instead of that, without skipping a freaking beat, I started to use my tongue and went down on her at the same exact pace as the dude in the song was scatting. It was so fast that I had to concentrate hard to get the timing right. I know it probably was bad technique, but I started and I had to commit. It was probably 9 seconds of doing that before I stopped and came up. I looked into her eyes and perfectly in time with the song I said I'm the scatman. I don't know what expression I expected to see on her. My brain clearly short-circuited for me to do that in the first place. What I didn't expect was the look of pure disgust. That moment went in pure slow motion for me. My brain pretty much exploded and was like, "Ah, frick, I can't believe I've done this." I saw no means of recovery so I got up and paused the song. And she said, "Can we just hang for a bit instead?" and I agreed. We ended up watching an episode of Friends, both of us refusing to acknowledge what just happened. Then she said she had to go back to her place. We've only been dating for 3 weeks and I'm pretty sure I might have totally fricked this up. At least I have a funny story out of it. Though I'd much prefer having a girlfriend. Today I fricked up, but gluing my vagina shut. This was a couple of months ago. I have a long-term FWB that I trust with everything having to do with my body. We had some semi-rough sex a week or so earlier and he had accidentally torn my inner labia with a fingernail or something. This resulted in every time I peed my stream would hit it directly, besides me having to bite my tongue and grit my teeth to keep from screaming profanities. Because of how badly it would sting, it also opened whatever had healed back into what I could only imagine was a humongous gaping wound. That was probably actually only a centimeter in length. After a week of this I decided I needed to do something about it. I happened to work in the or at a local hospital and have access to some surgical glue. There are 2 different types we use frequently. One called Dermabond that is much more viscous, but takes longer to dry, and the other called Swift Set that's more like a super glue in viscosity and dries quickly. But also comes with a little cap that is helpful in directing the glue into a much finer area. I felt like if I had less control over where the glue went and had to wait very long for my glue to dry I would end up gluing my labia together or something equally terrible, so I decided on the Swift Set to heal my vaginal woes. I made a plan with my FWB that he would come over and help with my crusade to heal my vaginal wound since I couldn't really see what was doing down there and still have use of both my hands to manage everything. He agreed and that's where I fricked up. He comes over that evening. I hand him the glue and show him where to put it, thinking he'd be delicate about where he's gluing. Nope. Instead he decided to empty the entire tube onto my wound and being fairly runny the whole thing ran down into my vagina. I was able, after a few minutes, to scrape it all out in a few giant bricks of purple, but for the first few minutes I panicked about what I was going to have to tell the doc or my gyn about why my vagina was permanently sealed off, and why there's a wall of glue inside of it. Luckily it also glued the wound closed and I had no more problems with peeing after that. I now refer to the incident as the Great Wall of Vagina Mishap. Today I fricked up by flashing my breasts, not realizing I was being recorded on an interview exam for a new job. I've been in the very early stages of interviewing at this company for about 3 weeks now. Early stages feels like I joke, because I've had at least 3 interviews with their recruiter so far. As part of the hiring process for Company X, you have to meet with the recruiter, take a personality test, take a logical reasoning test, interview with the hiring manager, complete a case study, present to a panel, and then individually interview with the whole team. It's a lot. I also think it's a bit ridiculous, but I really hate my job. What can you do? Anyway, I pass the early interview parts with my recruiter, and he informs me I'm ready for the next step, the personality and logical reasoning tests. To ensure I'm not cheating on these tests, and because they don't want me to come in for a proctored test, I have to use their software to record myself taking the exam from my computer's camera. Now, when I'm not spending my time applying for new jobs, I'm working from home for my current job, because I WFH. I'm not always the most presentable. We're talking sweats 100% of the time and showers only 45% of the time. I look bummy. I'm a bummy girl who works from home. To be clear though, I'm not unhygienic or filthy, just bummy. Anyway, I didn't take this into consideration when I opened up my computer for these tests. I really didn't take it into consideration when I opened up the program to begin the tests. I only took it into consideration when staring back at me on the screen was my greasy, messy bun and my 4 sizes too big, holy sweatshirt, and then, because apparently I have no shame, I decided to watch myself sniff the neck of my sweatshirt to even see if it's clean. It wasn't. This was a super sobering moment. Guys, I really wanted to put on a semi-good impression here, so I stood up from my workspace, aka my bed, to make myself a little more presentable. While getting up, I haphazardly moved my computer, which had been on my lap, off to the side with the screen facing the open part of my room. I took off my super holly sweatshirt to put on something a little nicer. That's when I realized I wasn't wearing a bra. Why would I be? I'm WFH. Remember? And the shirt I planned to quickly throw on wouldn't work without one. I started rummaging around in my dresser for a bra. I pull one out, put it on, dig through my closet for that single shirt I was looking for, find it, put it on, bam, ready. I flopped back down on my bed to take the exam, looking at least 67% better. Getting myself all situated, I went to push record to start the exam. There was no record button. Instead, there was a red light in the corner and a timer counting up. It read something like 0 hours, 9 minutes, and 4 seconds. It had been recording the entire time. The whole time. Me cringing at my reflection. Recorded. Me smelling my sweatshirt. Recorded. Me donging around my room with my titties out. Recorded. I had been topless for a solid 6 minutes of that 0 hours, 9 minutes, and 4 seconds time. For an eternally long 6 minutes, my titties had been out, flopping around, being recorded. I can only imagine what my face looked like on that camera when I realized. I definitely whisper-spoke frig, and stared at the red little light for a while. Maybe I blacked out. I don't know. What I did know in that moment was that I was royally frigged. The recorded video submitted when you closed the window. There was nothing I could do. And then, because I'm a dumbass, guys, I went ahead and finished the tests and submitted it all. So, that's it. There you have it. I might now have nudes on the internet. I might get my recruiter fired for not safe for work videos. Or, who knows, I might get the job. Today I fricked up by giving an old guy a shower. This actually did happen about 3 hours ago. So, I work at an assisted living place, like a nursing home. But we don't do anything medical. I give showers sometimes to those who need assistance, and tonight happened to be a particular male resident that enjoys flirting with all the women who work here. I got him sat down in the shower and washed him while listening to his little comments about me. Once we got done, I told him to grab a hold of his walker and get up so I could start getting him dried off and dressed for bed. He lifted his butt off the seat just a bit, then sat back down. Sometimes he can't get up on his feet the first try, so I thought, okay, let's try this again. He lifted up just a bit, then plopped back down, saying ouch. I asked him what was wrong and he said something's pinching me. I told him, well, just stand up and whatever it is will quit. Assuming he had an ass hair stuck in a screw on the shower seat, he tried again and said ow ow ow. And I said, name, get up. Han, you're alright. He then said, my sack is hung, girl. And I just looked at him, puzzled. I peeked my head around under the seat and sure enough, his family jewels had made its way between the cracks of the shower seat and are hanging down. Stuck. I walked my co-worker on floor with me tonight and we gathered tools to unscrew a board from the seat to set his nuts free. We tried and tried for over an hour. The entire time, the old man was just in a fit of laughter. We finally called our repairman to come down to the facility to help us. He arrived about 20 minutes later, just smiling. I was drenched in sweat and at this point it got unfunny. I couldn't get this 94-year-old dude's balls unstuck. The repairman came in, and unscrewed the board enough to where we could move it out of the way. We finally got him out and sat down on the toilet. He can't wipe himself, so I always have to. My god, his sack was swollen as big as a tomato. I finally got him dressed for bed and all tucked in. This day will be burned into my memory forever. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Keep your giblets safe everyone and have a good night. Today I fricked up by relaxing too much during a sensual massage. Bit of backstory. I started talking to a guy on Reddit last week. We hit it off, started texting and found out that he lives about 20 minutes from me. We decided to meet for a date on Friday. I have vibes and stomach was feeling a bit dodgy, but decided to soldier on. I was also very tired. TIFU. So I'm at this guy's house and I've made us a very nice mac and cheese. There was some cuddling, kissing and some sex. We're then snuggling on the sofa and I feel a big fart brewing. I'm hoping I can just absorb it back into my body if I hold on to it long enough. We start talking about massages and the guy offers to give me one. I choose a relaxing oil. I'm naked on my front and he is naked, straddling me, kind of sitting on my bum. He starts rubbing my back, and turns out he's good at massages. I'm feeling really relaxed and start to drift off. I then wake myself up with the most earth-shattering fart I have ever expelled. The fart I was holding captive had burst free with a vengeance. Displeased by the extended time spent in my rectum. It was hella loud and it was hella long. And it was right on his balls. It was so forceful, they vibrated. His response was to tell me, through tears of laughter, at least you didn't shit yourself. Please subscribe if you like the video. It really helps the channel to grow. Adios.